If you were God, would you snap your fingers and fix everything? Would you heal the sick, feed the hungry, and comfort the brokenhearted? Or would you rule with an iron fist, take revenge on those who've wronged you? Or would you sit back and let the world handle its own problems? What if you were all-knowing, omnipresent, and all-powerful, but had no one to share it with? What do I mean by this? Let me explain. Imagine being God before creation. It probably felt a lot like being a billionaire, only to find out you're the last person on Earth. What's the point of having all that money, the cars, the yachts, the houses? You can do anything you want, but you have no one to share it with. It probably feels pretty lonely. By the same token, what's the point of being God if you have no one to create things for, or do anything for? Genesis 1:27 says humans are made in the image of God. Do humans get lonely? I think so. So is it safe to say God probably gets lonely too? What if after an eternity of being able to do whatever he wanted, God just wanted someone to love him back? So God made the earth, put some pretty cool stuff in it, and gave it to man to live on and have dominion over. But if God was in control of all this, why are humans so evil? Great question. The short answer is that he had to make us that way. How does that make any sense? Well, it's kind of like having a robot dog. Bear with me here. Imagine you had a robot dog and you could program it to be as good or as bad as you want. Obviously, you'd make it 100% good, right? Because you want it to do good things and love you. It greets you at the door, wags its tail, gives you kisses, but it doesn't feel real because you programmed it to do all that. So what's the solution? You reprogram it to be 50% good and 50% bad. Next day you come home and it's chewed up some cushions and peed on the floor, but it comes up to you, wags its tail, gives you kisses, and so on and so forth. But it still doesn't feel right because although it did some bad things, you know it only did good things because of the 50% you programmed it to do. So you make it 99% bad and 1% good. It chews up your furniture, pees on the carpet, barks at all hours of the morning, but it finally comes up to you, tail wagging, gives you kisses, and all the good things. But it's still not right. It's just doing the 1% of good you programmed it to do. So how are you ever supposed to know if the dog really loves you? Well, the only way to know with certainty that the robot dog loves you is to make it 100% bad and give it a free will. That way, anytime it does something good, you know it's not because you told it to, and that makes it a real relationship. This is why Ecclesiastes 9:3 says humans are evil by nature. Because God had to make us evil and give us free will so he could have a real relationship with us. And some of you are probably thinking, why does God want a relationship with us in the first place? It's another good question, and the short answer is because it's the only thing he can't create, and therefore it's the only thing worth having. Think about it for a second. You can't make someone love you, and if you can, it's not real love. So God had to make us evil and give us a free will. That creates the opportunity, but not the guarantee, that we'll love him back. Unfortunately, creating cognitive beings evil by nature and giving them a free will leads to some pretty nasty things. So when people ask, why would an all-powerful God let bad things happen? Understand it was the only way for him to know who truly wants a relationship with him and for him to be able to feel real love. That's the whole meaning of life itself. Life on earth is a filtering process for God to see who really loves him, who really wants a relationship with him, and who wants to spend eternity with him. Some of you might think that sounds pretty selfish after looking around and seeing all the wars and famine and human trafficking and all the bad things happening on a daily basis. But think for a moment. What if you spent an eternity doing everything you wanted by yourself? Infinite money, pleasure, power, as much as you want for as long as you wanted. Eventually it gets old, and you'll want some children of your own to love and care for and hopefully love you back. So would you snap your fingers and fix everything? Would you take all the pain and heartache of this life away in an instant? Or would you leave the world as you made it? Let it test people so you can know the genuineness of their faith. It's a tough question, but what would you do if you were God?